What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and I want to play catch up on a couple of things that I haven't gotten a chance to talk about in the world of tabletop RPGs, and a lot actually around virtual tabletops more than anything. Also, ignore this PC. Remember that PC I was building last year? I finally actually got around to getting it up and running, so I'm in the process of doing the transfer from this computer to this computer, so it's kind of doing a side by side, and I'm down a monitor while I try to figure this out. But anyway, if you missed it, the whole world of virtual tabletops has basically been turned on its head in some degree due to a lot of interesting moves that we're seeing. So first up is Adam Bradford has been hired as the Chief Development Officer for Fantasy Grounds. Now, that name may sound familiar to you. You guys might not even know about Fantasy Grounds, right? So Fantasy Grounds is a virtual tabletop service. They've been around, I'm not sure exactly how long, but I know I was using them in 2014. And at that point in time, you basically had Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or like old school people using things like Map Tool. Um, but that being said, Fantasy Grounds has been around. They continue to get updated. They have first party support for modules and things from Wizards of the Coast. They did have that one little leak back around Latasha's Cauldron time, if you recall, where a bunch of their stuff got leaked early. But either way, they have hired Adam Bradford as their chief development officer. Now, Adam Bradford is a really big name in the world of virtual tabletops, specifically on like the UI user experience side of things, because he was one of the founding members and like basically the creator, essentially, or one of the co-creators of D&D Beyond, first of all. And then he went, after he left D&D Beyond, he went on to create Demiplane, which many people, and I've used it. It's pretty good. It's very visually clean, which again is the thing we're talking about. But it is, people tout it as the D&D Beyond for everything but D&D. So a pretty big tenure and with a lot of notable things. So I'm going to pull over here from the Fantasy Grounds forums this article here. This is for immediate release. Again, this was last week. Smiteworks USA LLC, which again is the company behind Fantasy Grounds, is excited to announce the appointment of Adam Bradford as its new chief development officer. Adam Bradford, a prominent figure in the tabletop gaming industry, brings a wealth of experience and expertise that will be instrumental in driving the company's growth and innovation. Adam Bradford is well known for his pioneering work in the digital gaming space. He founded D&D Beyond, a digital toolset to transform the way Dungeons and Dragons is played. Under his leadership, D&D Beyond experienced significant growth and was eventually acquired by Hasbro. Following his success, Adam joined Demiplane, another online tabletop role-playing game company, where he led the development for a digital tools platform for a variety of other games, further cementing his reputation as a visionary in the industry. In his new role at Smiteworks, Adam will focus on expanding Fantasy Grounds' market presence, enhancing user engagement and user experience. He oversees strategic initiatives across product development, business development, marketing, community engagement, and user acquisition. Adam's innovative approach and proven track record make him an ideal fit for Smiteworks as the company continues to push the boundaries for digital gaming, digital tabletop gaming. We are thrilled to welcome Adam Bradford to the Smiteworks team, said Doug Davison, president of Smiteworks. Adam's expertise and vision will be invaluable as we work to grow Fantasy Grounds and provide our users with the best possible tabletop gaming experience. We have a lot of great things in the works for Fantasy Grounds, and we believe Adam is the perfect addition to help us achieve our goals. Adam expressed his enthusiasm, saying, "I'm incredibly excited to be joining Smiteworks and to have the opportunity to contribute to the ongoing success of Fantasy Grounds. The virtual tabletop space is evolving rapidly to make playing these games we love more convenient than ever, and I look forward to working with the outstanding team at Smiteworks to continue driving innovation and growth in the tabletop roles playing space." Now, for what it's worth, when I used Fantasy Grounds, when I could get it to work, and I'll explain in a second, it was a lot of it worked pretty well, and it already had a pretty extensive modding scene with like custom things. Like a lot of you might see this kind of stuff in Foundry, where people develop all these apps using the UI and all the APIs and things to develop these different things. And I really like that about the different aspects and things you could play around with within Fantasy Grounds. However, again, I want to point out that my last time using Fantasy Grounds was roughly 2014, And at that point, because Fantasy Grounds is like, at least again at that point, it was more like a program that you downloaded locally and would connect via servers. One of the things that could possibly off-put people is the price associated with it. Now, I bought like a lifetime membership at that time, and as a GM, so I could have players play who don't have to pay for anything. So I did all that kind of stuff. But we had players on Mac back then, and that seemed to be a big problem, was getting the PCs to talk to the Macs. Again, this was 2014. It was a different time. But other than that, I did really enjoy Fantasy Grounds, and it had a lot of the bells and whistles that make, what people want in a virtual tabletop. So I'm very curious to see where things go. Having Adam Bradford again on board is a huge boon for them in every aspect, and it sounds like they're going to put him in the role that he is basically, from what we know, to be the best at improving acquisition of people to the platform, uh, market development, product development. He's great at giving, honestly, you want somebody to provide you weekly updates. He's fantastic at that, does a good job, puts on a good show, comfortable in front of the camera. Also, genuinely, a really nice guy. I had the opportunity to meet him in like 2018 at an after party for something at Gen Con, and just like a total sweetheart of a man. So, for what it's worth, congratulations, Adam, on your move to Smiteworks. I'm very excited to see what your being on board will do to change the way Fantasy Grounds is looked at in the future. Again, are you a user of Fantasy Grounds? Was this your first time ever hearing about it? Have you used it in the past and had questions or reasons why you switched off of it? Again, in my mind, Fantasy Grounds to some degree falls into the same area as Foundry for me, where there's so many powerful tools and useful abilities of it, but you need to learn those. You need to verse yourself in how they work. You're basically almost not the extent of learning a programming language, but you need to learn the ins and outs of using that virtual tabletop so that you can instruct your players. And if you want to do something that's maybe outside of the box, you have to know how to do that on your end, or at least find a way to do a workaround. So that's why people probably, again, enjoy things like D&D Beyond or something more simplistic, potentially like a Roll20, where you can just kind of show up and do the thing. You don't need to like know all of these ins and outs and the different macros and things to add. So, but some people like that. Some people prefer that. And honestly, with these kinds of systems, it gives you that degree of customizability where you can really tweak it to make it exactly what you want it to be for your game. So if you guys are curious about Fantasy Grounds coverage going forward, if there's a big major announcement made, like, they're going to do some crazy new thing, or they're rolling out this new system, or whatever the case may be, I'll probably cover it in the future. But, again, I don't know what kind of interest there is in covering a variety of virtual tabletop content, especially like patch notes and stuff like that. I'm sure there are people on the internet who already do that. But if you're curious, let me know, and we'll see if we can't fit into fit it into the schedule. Now, we were talking about Adam Bradford, we were talking about Demiplane, and we were talking about Roll20. Well, let's talk about something that kind of blew my mind. Roll20 bought Demiplane. That's insanity to me, but let's keep reading. We're excited, this is again from Roll20, to announce that Roll20 has acquired Demiplane, the best-in-class character building solution for the tabletop role-playing games. Demiplane joins a growing suite of TTRPG offerings from Roll20 that include Roll20 Tabletop, Drive-Thru RPG, and Dungeon Scrawl. I don't actually know what Dungeon Scrawl is. We might go look at that in a second. Adding Demiplane furthers our mission of connecting gamers and providing them with cutting-edge tools to bring their campaigns to life, both in person and online. Known for its rapid rise as the, quote, D&D Beyond for every other game system, so that's what I'm talking about, Demiplane offers a gameplay nexus for a rapidly growing list of popular TTRPGs, including Pathfinder 2e, Vampire the Masquerade, Avatar Legends RPG, and more. Each nexus provides a digital character sheet, character builder, and character management, along with a beautiful digital reading experience that assists players in quickly referencing any part of the game's rules or combat. Combining Demiplane's technology with the world's most popular virtual tabletop paves the way for integrating the two platforms, unlocking greater in-person and online gameplay options for the over 15 million players, game masters, and publishers we serve. Nothing is changing about how these platforms work today. Demiplane and Roll20 will remain separate tools even as the companies combine, but we're evaluating many integration possibilities and would love your input. If you'd like to help share the future of how these platforms integrate, please complete this short survey, and there's a link right there. Again, what are the benefits for me as a player? Demiplane's character builder is deep, streamlined, and simply fun to use. Whether you're sitting around the table or using a virtual tabletop like Roll20, we believe Demiplane can become the D&D Beyond for every other game, and we're excited to bring Demiplane's technology to a broader range of systems. We aim to explore a deeper integration between Demiplane and Roll20. We understand how many players and GMs use these tools side by side, and we're eager to find ways to make them work together. What is the nature and details of the acquisition? Operationally, Demiplane will be integrated into Roll20's organization with our technology teams working closely together. The partnership unlocks future potential for Roll20's technology and product offerings to integrate Demiplane's character and compendium solutions directly into Roll20. I already bought source books. This is a good one. For my system of choice as a PDF or on the VTT, does this mean I'll have to buy these books again to play on Demiplane? We're currently in discussions with publishers to seek permission to offer free unlocks of content across Roll20 and Demiplane. We've already received permission from Paizo, Darrington Press, Cobalt Press, and Renegade Game Studios to grant you the Demiplane version for free. So if you own the Pathfinder player core on Roll20, you'll get it for free on Demiplane. That's actually a huge move, and what a great offering by Roll20. If you really want to sell people on this, I mean, again, you don't even have to because you bought Demiplane, so you own it. You don't have to. You could just force feed this to people if you really want to, and they just kind of have to deal with it because you did it. But anytime anybody, and I've seen this countless times over in the comments of my videos, anytime anybody offers you a free book or a free version of a thing that you already purchased so you don't have to buy it a second time, you have immediately ingratiated you to those fans, right? So this was a big thing a lot of people were complaining about with, like buying a physical book at a store and not getting like the D&D Beyond copy for free, or at the very least at some form of a discount. Now that's changed to some degree with the physical digital bundles that D&D Beyond offers, but that's not also supporting your local game store. So I get it, but honestly, being able to do that and getting such big names to fall in line with that, Paizo, Darrington Press, Cobalt Press, and Renegade Game Studios, I'd say probably the Free League. If you could get Free League on board, that's basically you've got them all. Does this affect content sharing limits, character limits, or subscriptions on either platform? Nothing is changing about how it works today. They will remain separate tools, even as the companies combine. Can I transfer characters between Demiplane and Roll20? Can I use Demiplane's character sheets and or compendium with a Roll20 tabletop? How else are they being integrated? Again, nothing is changing about how this works today. Demiplane and Roll20 will remain separate even as the companies combine. We're evaluating many integration possibilities and we'll love your input. If you'd like your vote, click the link. What does this mean for the new D&D 2024 character sheet on Roll20? It doesn't change anything. We will debut our brand new character sheet and builder in time for the D&D 2024 release. It will be fully integrated into Roll20 characters and into Roll20 Tabletop with advanced automation, drag and drop functionality, deep customization, and more, just like we hinted at earlier this year. Be on the lookout for the alpha and beta releases coming this summer. What will happen to Demiplane's 5e Nexus that's in early access? We don't plan on making any changes to the 5e Nexus on Demiplane. Players are looking for robust support for D&D 2024 can find it on Roll20's exciting suite of tools. Will I need a new account? No, your accounts will remain separate. So there you go, folks. That is all about this. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that it's been acquired by Roll20. It's monopoly is not the right term, but like competition, as we've talked about, and this is a economical thing, but also just something you could probably see in the industry. But competition works well for tabletop gaming, especially in these kinds of assistive tools like a virtual tabletop, right? If you Roll20, and I hate to say it this way, but for the longest time, they're making some moves more recently, but for the longest time, Roll20 was Roll20, and it's like it hadn't changed in 15 years, right? What you had in 2010 versus what you had, 5 years ago was pretty much the same. And honestly, they didn't really need to change anything. Now, that I'm not saying that that's a little harshly grading Roll20, but they did, they do innovate, they do update, they do add things, but fundamentally, at least from my perspective, having played in games over the various years in Roll20, what I got in Roll20 in 2014 is what I got in 2022. It's the one of the oldest, most successful, and again, I think calling it the most played virtual tabletop is probably accurate just because of the seniority of the system alone and the simplicity of it. We can't argue with the simplicity of using Roll20. It is very user friendly and easy to pick up depending on how you want to do things with it. But if nobody was forcing you to innovate and improve, then you had no reason to do so, and it would kind of be silly. But now that we're seeing so much competition in the world of virtual tabletops, whether that's things like Foundry, Owlbear Radio, Tailspire, Fantasy Grounds, the new virtual tabletop coming from Dungeons and Dragons, all this kind of stuff, you need to do better and improve. So again, having not played on a character sheet on Roll20 for D&D for several years, I remember what existed back in like the 2014 to 2020-ish or so era. And it worked. It was functional, and it had little quirks if you figured out how to, like, you could add in die rolls and things with little macros. But a nice, clean, easy to read, easy to understand character sheet like you get from Demiplane or from D&D Beyond is pretty huge. Again, there's a point, and we've talked about it before on this channel, where some people, if the thing you want, if they can't use D&D Beyond, or like the special homebrew item you want to give them doesn't exist in D&D Beyond, they don't use it because it truly has revolutionized the way people play. It gives you access to your character sheets whenever you need it, as opposed to having to save a PDF somewhere. It also is interactive. It does have the ability to roll dice from within the character sheet, but it also is just intuitive and easy to click on things to figure out, like, okay, do I have bonus actions? Click, let me read. Stuff like that. And that is well done, in my opinion. So, having Demiplane, the self-proclaimed in this article D&D Beyond for every other RPG, on a website like Roll20, which is known not just for its Dungeons and Dragons, but all the other games that it supports, it feels like a natural pairing. Again, it'll be very interesting to see how things integrate completely, because Demiplane has a pretty good character sheet, and Roll20 has decent character sheets, but the Demiplane one would likely be better. So I'm very curious to see what this does for the industry. Does this shake up anybody else? For example, I've been using, it's no secret, I've been running Fandelver and Below on Wednesday nights here on my Twitch channel. And I post the VODs over on the second Nerd Immersion channel, Nerd Immersion Plays. But we've just been using D&D Beyond for the character sheets. And honestly, I've been using the map system, which is still, I think, in alpha or beta from D&D Beyond. And for what I need and my needs, just a simple map to throw tokens on, more or less for positioning, so nobody gets confused of, if I move it 20 feet this way, can I still get the guy, kind of a thing. It works more than enough for what my needs are. It's very, very simple and easy to play around with, depending on how you want to look at it. So I think I might make a future video on D&D Beyond maps, just to see, like, here we are, however many weeks later. Here's my opinion on having been somebody who's used it. So, like, that's an instance where a really strong character sheet doesn't have a virtual tabletop, but they're, like, kind of dabbling in it a little bit. But ultimately, I thought D&D Beyond was going to integrate with the new 3D virtual tabletop that WotC's building, so that might be a connection that happens in the future as well. So there's a lot going on, and I'm excited to see Roll20 innovating and doing all sorts of cool stuff and looking to update and not just kind of rest on the laurels of being the most played and the most senior virtual tabletop. Because honestly, they've also earned the right to do that. They've been around for so long, they provided such a useful tool, albeit wonky at times. It's been relatively consistent all this time, and it gets the job done. It lets you do what you want to do. So the fact that they could just relax and just live their life having the status quo of that, more than welcome to, and realistically, yeah, I think they've earned it. But innovating, buying new, and acquiring new major companies to improve your user experience that's a pretty king move there, Roll20. So my hat's off to you. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below on this one. There's a lot going on, and there's more videos to come in the future of other things that have been going on. And I promise to attempt to get back to semi-regular or flat-out regular content uh, probably end of this week. Between finishing up this PC build and really making a lot of headway on the deck in the backyard, um, it's been a lot on my mind trying to capitalize on time that I have. And if I'm being completely honest, the release of Destiny: The Final Shapes also impacted things a little bit for me. But yeah, more regularly scheduled content soon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.